We're going to be ranking each ship for the Xenothreat event in Star Citizen 318. This tier list is subjective and is heavily influenced by my anecdotal experience flying most of these ships during the Xenothreat event on both the 318 PTU and live game. The placement for each ship is also heavily influenced by its stats, as listed on Urkel Tools. There is a bias towards ships that do not need to frequently restock, favoring ships that primarily use laser weapons instead of ballistics or torpedoes. I will assume that each ship is fully upgraded with best-in-slot weapons and components. This means laser repeaters for hardpoints sizes 1 to 4 and laser cannons for size 5 hardpoints. Seeker 9s or Typhoon 9s for the torpedo bombers. With this, let's get into the tier list, starting with the S tier and working our way down. At the top of S tier is the A2 Hercules by Crusader Industries. I recommend this ship for squads of 3 or more players. This gunship has the maneuverability profile of a heavy fighter, strapped with 8 size 5 laser cannons. Each turret-mounted cannon has 70 shots. The 2 size 3 shields and agility allow this ship to strafe in the effective range of the weapons from about 2 kilometers from the target, providing the highest sustained weapon damage out of every ship in the game. With 3 players and 6 size 5 laser cannons, you can destroy an Idris in about 6 minutes. With only 1 pilot, the turret operators can use the swivel, aim assist, and massive capacitors to focus on applying damage without distractions. This is a huge benefit over trying to coordinate a swarm of Corsairs or Ions. This ship has the most countermeasures in the game, with 2 sets of 135 chaff and 2 sets of 105 noise. This is very important, as you will be constantly spammed with small missiles at this event. It also has the cargo space for running boxes during the supply gathering stage of this event. Second in the S tier is the Aegis Hammerhead. I recommend this ship for squads of 4 or more people. This is a light fighter screen and a perfect choice for Xenothreat, as you will be swarmed by the constant waves of light and heavy fighters. The turrets cover all angles of the ship, making it perfect for ad clear, opposed to the A2, where its turrets are all positioned to focus a single target. Unlike the A2, there are no diminishing returns for added players after 3 people. Every player added to the Hammerhead will get 4 size 4 laser repeaters, each with 240 rounds. The pilot also has access to the best-in-class Scimitar 5 missiles. This ship is very tanky with 2 size 3 shields, 295,000 hull HP. It also has the cargo space to help deliver boxes during the supply gathering stage of the event. Third in S tier is the Aegis Retaliator, with more hull HP than a Hammerhead, equipped with 6 size 9 torpedoes, designed for sinking frigate and capital class ships. This ship is effectively a single-seater, as there are better multi-crew options. It is still the best single-seat ship for destroying Idrises, even after the Argos 9 nerf in 318. A single player with the ship can be the deciding factor for successfully completing the last phase or not. On a server with few participants and no UEE Javelin to help out, this ship is almost required for a solo player to destroy the last 3 Idrises. Without the torpedo burst damage in this case, it is very difficult to focus an Idris while being harassed by light fighters, hammerheads, and Idris fire. The Anvil Hurricane and RSI Scorpius are the 2 final ships to make the S tier bracket. I recommend either of these ships if you are teaming up with a friend. They perform very well at clearing out the hostile fighters and have enough firepower to make meaningful contributions to the larger ships like the Hammerheads and Idrises. Their ability to fend off hostile players is what solidifies their position in S tier. The players using these ships should make an effort to defend their fellow teammates in vulnerable ships from hostile players. Alright, moving on to the A tier. At the top is the Drake Corsair, designed to explore the cargo holds of the Aegis Hammerhead and Idris. This ship has the most pilot-controlled firepower in the game, perfect for a solo player to hack through all the large and spongy AI ships. On the negative side, this ship is starved for weapon and shield power when under stress. You will need to be constantly flicking your power between weapons and shields. In contrast, the A2 does not have this problem, as it has 70 shots per cannon instead of 15, allowing the A2 to focus on shield regen while maintaining fire. The Corsair is also very fragile, as the maneuverability thrusters can be easily damaged through shields by ballistics or missiles, making the ship nearly inoperable. Next up are the Constellation variants. They function similarly to the Corsair. They trade 2 size 5 hardpoints for nearly double the HP and have a much more narrow cross-section, allowing them to more easily avoid incoming fire and objects. The Aegis Eclipse. The stealth provides no benefit against AI ships. It has half the torpedoes of the Retaliator and is made out of cardboard. It still has high burst damage with the 3 size 9 torpedoes. The Redeemer is a good choice with 3 people, but is inferior to the A2 in almost every way, except for missiles and cross-section. Each size 5 laser weapon has half the capacity of the A2, and the main thrusters are a weak point. It also costs 3 mil more credits than the A2. The Vanguard variants are placed firmly in the upper A tier. They all excel at clearing out fighter-class ships and can make meaningful contributions on damaging the larger ships. They can hold their own in a PvP fight as well. They are effectively single-seat heavy fighters. If you have 2 people, you're better off using a Scorpius or Hurricane. Next up are the 3 Meta Light Fighters. Solid options for ad clear, but lack the firepower to quickly bring down the large targets. Like the 2-seat heavy fighters in the S tier, these ships shine in PvP and should prioritize hostile players at this event. Finally, at the bottom of A tier is the 600i and Ares Zion. They both have passable laser cannon damage and plenty of missiles. They are decent for focusing larger targets, but struggle against fighter-class ships, and they fail miserably in PvP. Alright, now onto the B tier. At the top, we have the Ares Inferno. Same situation as the Ion, except you'll need to restock frequently. The Carrack is viable for all aspects of this event, but is outclassed by the other multi-crew ships higher on the list. The Cutlass and Avenger variants are solid. They can clear ads and move boxes. These ships are great for the entry level and can make meaningful contributions by playing the objective and removing threats. Great for newer players. And then now you have the medium and light fighters that struggle in PvP fights. All they can really do in this event is clear ads, and that's about it. Alright, for C tier, we have the Khartu-al. You can argue the ship is actually low A tier or high B tier, but I don't have room for it, so it's going to sit at C. The Antares sits at the top of C tier. The EMP isn't very effective in PvE and would be a very small value add for the second player. The ship is effectively a single seat heavy with underwhelming pilot firepower. The ship is decent for a solo player who enjoys flying the Scorpius and just wants to help with ad clear. If that's the case, just buy the normal variant in game. The 325A can clear ads in style. The Gladiator is a great option on paper, but in practice it struggles. You are relying on torpedoes, which can whiff. The Harbinger is a superior ship for a solo player due to the pilot firepower. If you have 2 players, the Hurricane is just a far better option. The Hawk is alright, but they're better single-seat fighters. The Nomad and Freelancer series are alright still. Better options. And then finally, the Mantis. It's very powerful for pirating, but offers limited value in Xenothreat. A strong group of PvP players can wipe out everyone on the server without this ship. Most PvP players want to be the ace light fighter pilot, not the Mantis bitch. Finally, for D tier, we have the 890J. This ship is only really good for baiting out missiles and fire, so other ships can focus on applying damage to the Idris. It's basically just bait for incoming ordnance. We have the Reclaimer. It can't really defend itself. It's good for doing salvage after the event's over. Same with the Vulture, great for salvage. And then the final remaining ships here are only good for moving boxes. If this is what you have, then play the objective, and that's actually a huge contribution to the event. The guy in the cutter who's moving boxes is going to add way more value to the event than the dude in the Corsair just spinning circles. Finally, we have the bonus tier. These are the only ships that I'm going to speculate on. First up is the Aegis Javelin. The ship does make an appearance in the event. It has 8 size 9 laser cannons and absolutely slays everything. It's not controllable by any players, but I'm going to include it. Second up is the Polaris. If the Retaliator is very powerful in this event, I'm sure the Polaris will also be a formidable opponent in these large fleet battles. And then third, we have the Perseus. If the 2 dual size 5 laser cannon turrets on the A2 are very strong, I'm sure the dual size 7 turrets on the Perseus are even better. To conclude this tier video, I'd just like to say that we all play this game to have fun. You can make a meaningful contribution to the event and have a good time in any of these ships here. You don't need to own the expensive multi-crew ships like the A2 or the Hammerhead. All you have to do is be friends with a guy that does own them. Thank you for watching this video.